Well, here's some real Southern comfort and encouragement. I think right on time. Watch this.
Tell your kids that you love them. Tell your kids that you love them. I have lived a life without hearing that from my dad. He's 86 years old. If he would have just told me that, maybe I wouldn't have looked for love in all these different places. Not wrong places, just different places. But I can tell you, it means something to hear that you're loved by mom and dad. Now, what it's motivated me to do is that there's never a phone call, there's never a day that goes by, there's never an opportunity missed that I don't tell my kids, my grandkids, my wife, and those people that are all around me that I love them, because it values them and it helps build a healthy self-esteem.
Mark Gregston has had to make that choice not to take offense. God wouldn't be using him the way he is if he had. Founder and executive director of Heartlight, a Christian residential counseling center in Longview, Texas, that is always full. I bet you could use a dozen of these. Living with over 2,500 teens has resulted in seminars, retreats, and this is the latest book, Tough Guys and Drama Queens, How Not to Get Blindsided by Your Child's Teen Years. Time-tested biblical techniques to guide you through unavoidably challenging years is just what the teens are all about. Great to hear, Mark, that you are on 1,500 radio stations daily. If that is not an indicator of a crying need for help.
Yeah, it's more about the need than it is about people just wanting to fill program time. I think people are crying for opportunities to say, hey, how do we deal with these kids? How do we deal with the changing parenting styles that are so needed? How do we counter the effects of this tsunami wave of cultural influence that's taking our kids in places that we never thought they'd go? Where 85% of kids are leaving the church, where kids are just struggling a little bit, going, where does this all fit? How does it work? And so I think parents are looking for that desperately.
And we just heard from Rob Baer, Dean of Students, talking about a peace and a sense of security.
Yeah.
When you can't promise that to a young generation, I kind of would expect them to act out.
Oh, absolutely.
This is not what we signed on for.
Absolutely. You know, I think peace looks a little bit different. I mean, most of us think that peace is the absence of conflict. And I would say that what peace is hope amidst the conflict. And the tendency that most parents have, that most of us have, I think, is to walk away from conflict, where conflict's a precursor to change.
That's a good word. Oh, let's repeat that.
Yeah, conflict is a precursor to change. And we all want our kids to change. We want them to grow up. We want them to mature, become responsible, to start flexing that decision-making muscle so they can make great decisions in the day ahead. You know, I think that we want them to change. And when we walk away from the conflict of taking the values and the biblical principles that we've taught our kids and trying to get them to engage that in the culture that they're living in, that you and I have said we're so glad that we don't have to live in that culture. Well, they do, and they're having a tough time, you know, engaging what they know to be true into a world that's been somewhat difficult for them.
I told you I'm thankful to see how refreshed and positive you are. 2 years since you were here. The world has changed quite a lot.
That's right.
In that 2 years.
Yeah.
How are you experiencing the pressures, the issues, the change in an increasingly troubled world?
Well, it is a troubled world. It's an exposed world. I mean, I'm turning grayer. I'm getting a little bit whiter, but it's interesting to me. I feel that I'm more effective with kids today than I ever have been. And the reason is I think they're looking for wisdom. They're looking for not just more knowledge and more information. They've got it. We've done a great job helping our kids learn, but we haven't done a great job of training our kids. The scripture says, train up a child, not teach up a child. And we've taught well. Now we need to be focused during these adolescent years of helping a child train. I mean, to take those things they know to be true, apply them to their world so we can engage with them. And it means there's going to be conflict. Our kids feel different about principles and ideas and thoughts that you and I do.
Well, you use the word blindsided in your book, but I've been told on more than one occasion that you have to talk sideways to your teens. They don't even want you to look at them, some of them.
Right. Yeah.
So that relationship challenge.
Yeah, the relationship becomes key. You know, kids no longer change because of the exertion of authority. They change because of relationship. They no longer give respect like they used to. It's got to be one. Even though I know that God has given each one of us as a parent the authority in our child's life, culture has shared things with them different. It's almost undermined anybody that's in authority. We hear all the dirt and crud and all the junk that goes on in their life. So there isn't that immediate respect. And because of that, I've got to engage differently with a child and appeal to that relationship side.
And you say, don't try to control them, trust them.
That's right.
Give them that trust.
That's right. I don't want to control them. I mean, when I start controlling them, that's when they start moving away from me. Every child wants to grow up, and they know they're having a tough time doing that, so they want control of their life. So I'm saying, let's give it to them, but let's stand beside them at the same time and walk with them and speak truth into their life as they're going through the most difficult time of their life.
There's so much, so much in here, but I have to digress because I promised to get this story. And do you know what? I didn't know that you made the pre-Olympics in '72.
Yeah.
You had a scholarship to the University of Arkansas for your swimming ability.
Yeah.
And somehow this connects to a ducktail story.
Well, you know, I mean, Arkansas, of course, I always go duck hunting in Arkansas. And the duck hunting story that I use is that I almost went under. I've gone duck hunting all my life, and I almost went under, thinking I was in waters that I understood, that I knew what to do, that I knew what was valuable, I knew what was important. But I got out of a boat and I started to walk in waters that looked calm, and they weren't calm. Underneath there were branches and twigs and logs, and I started tripping. And as I started to go down, I wanted to hold on to something that I thought was valuable, my gun, so I stuck it up in the air. I started to go under and had these images of people drowning by getting their waders full of water, and I thought, I'm going down, I'm going down. And yet I was focused on this duck that I thought was so important. And then I thought afterwards, I took my gun, shoved it down in the water, and I pushed myself back up, and I thought, I almost went down. And
For a gun.
And I thought, that's right, and I thought, this is exactly what happens in adolescence. Parents feel like the waters are calm, but they don't see what lurks beneath and what is underneath. And as they start to walk, they start tripping up, and they hold on to what they think is valuable, and they focus on what they think is important.
And usually that's behavior.
That's right. And when you start going under, it changes real quick. And so most parents aren't prepared to deal with the adolescent years. And so I'm trying to help parents go, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. Here's some things you can do to counter the effects of this culture. You can prepare yourself for the time that your child will change in a heartbeat. And everybody says, well, no, they don't do that. If I had a nickel for every time that a parent looks at me and says, Mark, my child went upstairs one person and came downstairs somebody completely different. It happens like this. And I go, then let's be prepared for that time.
You talk about exposure. We can't keep them from the internet where they're getting all kinds of things we don't want them to have.
Quick story. You know, I'm from Texas. We like to burn things and have fires and shoot off fireworks and stuff. And so last New Year's Eve, my granddaughter wanted to do some sparklers, and these sparklers, you light the end of them, and kids usually write their name and stuff. And she's 7 years old, and she looks at me and she goes, Papa, look, I can write my name, my username, and my password. And I thought, at 7 years old, and I thought, the whole world is changing. There's a flood of information which calls each parent to say, you know what? I don't need to be giving out more and more information. I need to be giving wisdom. I need to be giving value. I need to give a relationship. I need to give time. I need to engage with them and offer them experience. That's what kids want from mom and dad. They don't need another friend. They've got plenty of those friends on Facebook and everywhere else. They want somebody wise to walk with them and help them walk through this dark time that we call adolescence.
That, of course, is what you are doing. You live with these kids. 60 a year. They stay a full year.
That's why my hair is so white. I've turned colors the last few years. So
the joy and the optimism doesn't change despite a rapidly changing world. And you said before the program, you want to get to them, to the parents. you can't accommodate all the desperately needy kids.
Right. Yeah, we made a
bring the
decision.
wisdom.
We do. We made a decision a number of years ago and just said, you know, we're not going to expand by offering more emergency rooms like Heartlight, our program for kids. What we're going to do is go out and help parents not ever have to send their child to live with us. And so that's where books and publishing and seminars and conferences and all those things have come about. We've tried to just offer something to parents going, look out, it's coming. And most parents, if they haven't struggled with their own kids, they know of other families that are struggling, families that they're going, wait a minute. All those parents have done good jobs. They're great parents. And you look at the kids that live with us. They're great kids from great homes that know Scripture like the back of their hand. They're great parents, but something went terribly wrong. And so what we're trying to do is prepare parents for that time and say, okay, here's some things you can do to maybe safeguard your family and to keep from getting blindsided.
Oh, Mark, we need many sessions, but fortunately it's here
Yeah.
in Tough Guys and Drama Queens. 25 years experience
Yeah.
with these teens, and I think it's really wonderful. You are married 38 years,
Yeah, to my high school sweetheart.
2 children, 4 grandchildren,
Yeah.
and you've never had that affirmation from your dad.
Well, you know, I haven't, but you know, I had this dream a couple of years ago, and because I've always been mad at my dad for just whatever reasons that kids are mad at their dad. And I had this dream that I got to heaven, and my dad was standing next to God, and I got mad at God, and I said, what is he doing here? And God looked at me and he said, Mark, I've been using him to transform you into the person that I want you to be. And you know, my anger left. It just quit. I just said, you know, I don't need to be angry at him anymore. God has really used him. My mom died a year and a half ago, and so he's doing good and doing well, and we have a relationship. Never what I've always wanted it to be. I wish that I could have somebody like me in my life. I wish that my kids would have a grandpa like I am to my grandkids in their life. But you know, I mean, I think life is like that, and you allow the Lord to fill those spots.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Beautiful example. Mark, don't wait 2 years to come back. We need you more, okay?
bet.
And this book, Tough Guys and Drama Queens, at our e-store.